Hi everybody, my name is Christine and I have been reading the Constitution to the United States. Right now I want to talk about Mitch McConnell. Lindsey Graham died a few weeks ago. It was sudden, it was sad, and I did a segment on that, and in that segment I explained how the Constitution worked the way it was supposed to. He passed away. His governor chose someone to replace him, which was his sister. Often when somebody's term is very short between the time they pass away and the next person goes into office, they choose a loved one as like an homage to the person. And Lindsey Graham was a senator for many years, and so he was honored by his sister being put in, and shortly they will be having a primary election, because Lindsey Graham was in the primary election. He was going to run again, and they have to now choose the person who will be running in the fall for senator, and then in January, whoever wins the election in the fall will be the new senator. So that's the way that went. But Mitch McConnell is a whole other ballgame for several reasons. First of all, the Constitution does not have a policy for somebody who is ill for an extended period of time. And Mitch McConnell fell. He was in the hospital for over a month, and now they say he's in a nursing home. We are not getting a whole lot of information from his camp, and we do have HIPAA, and I understand that. But at the same point in time, you have people in the state of Kentucky who are saying, you have not been to work all of July, and you were not able to vote on anything the whole of July. And they should have their representative. And I personally feel like there should be a little more communication. He doesn't have to say everything, but there should be some type of communication, at least to leadership, so they know what's going on. But the other thing that's going on in Kentucky is that there was a bill passed, and I think today, or one day this week, if it's not today the 3rd, it's another day this week, they are going to change, the law changes, and it says instead of the governor choosing, that would have to be an election to choose who replaces the senator. And that is part of the reason why there was so much talk about whether or not he was alive or he was dead, because Mitch, if he died before today, then the governor would get to choose, and Mitch McConnell is a Republican and the governor is a Democrat. And usually if you're a Democrat, you choose a Democrat. If you're a Republican, you choose a Republican. And so people were saying that they're not going to say he's dead until after today, or I think it was today. At any rate, today, this week. I thought it was the 6th, and someone else told me the 3rd, and I didn't look it up, so I am sorry. But it is one day this week, and that all of a sudden they're going to go, oh, Mitch McConnell's dead. And yeah, and that's why you're seeing memes, and that's why you're seeing people, part of the reason why they're talking. But the other part of it is the whole, he's been gone for 6 weeks thing. What do we do? So the problem with the new bill is that if there's an election, that is counter to the Constitution, which says the governor chooses. And they say that this will go to the Supreme Court eventually, if that's what happens, because it is against what the Constitution directly says. And this is one of those times when we were just talking about how in my last one, Article 6 was saying that the federal government is over the state government, and this is one time when the federal government's big rule is this, and the state said no, we want to do this, and so now they'll fight it out in court over whether or not they get to change a rule like that. I don't know what's going to happen with that. We'll see. In a way, I can understand why they want to do that, because states feel that their constituents should be able to decide what happens or who gets to replace, rather than a governor who just chooses anybody, like they did for Lindsey Graham and choosing his sister. And so I see both sides of this, and maybe something like this needs to be changed, and that's, they're pushing that, and we'll see what happens. But that's what's going on with that. So there's several things going on here. First is Mitch is missing work. It's like 50-50 in the Senate, or 49. It's very close as to when they vote, and they need every person they can get to come in and vote. And since he hasn't been able to vote, and his people are not being represented. And so that's one part of this. The second part is, should the governor replace him, or should it be an election? The other part is, do we need to have something added to the Constitution when cases like this happen and somebody is ill or unable to come into work for a long period of time? What is a long period of time? How do we decide whether or not they should be replaced? I mean, you can't. People say, oh, well, Mitch is old. Yes, Mitch McConnell is old, and he was not running for re-election, and so his spot opens again in January anyway, and so whoever replaces him will only be from here until January anyway. But somebody in their 40s could have a bad car accident or get cancer, or there's so many different things that can happen to people, and so we shouldn't just say that it's his age, because that's ageist. But we also have the Americans of Disability Act, and just because somebody is sick doesn't mean we should replace them either, or does it? And so these are things that I think need to be addressed, and yeah, that's a whole lot of them, isn't it? Because we have do we replace somebody after they've been gone? For how long do we replace them? Is it okay for the state to decide to choose instead of having the governor choose? And yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot to think of, because in the long run, the people of Kentucky are the ones who are losing out right now. And it doesn't matter whether or not you like Mitch McConnell and his politics, doesn't matter. Or if you love him, doesn't matter. The thing is, it could be any other member of Congress. Any other member of Congress this can happen to. And do we need some kind of guideline for when this happens, and now that this has happened? So that's it for right now. Thank you for listening to me, and I'll be back soon. And have a great day.